Hi everyone, this is Anna. In this video, I will be showing you techniques for creating galaxy backgrounds using supplies you may already have. For the first background, I'll be using liquid watercolors. But of course, you can use whatever watercolors you have on hand. These liquid watercolors are from Hero Arts. I'll be creating 3 different galaxy backgrounds and I'll be using 3 primary colors, blue, red, and yellow. I sprayed a watercolor panel generously with clean, clear water. I took the pigment with my brush and began dropping in the color onto the paper. I just made sure that the colors did not bleed too much into each other. But I won't worry about them bleeding and blending. It will just create greens and purples, which will add to the variety. I continued to drop in color here and there and made sure to wash the brush as I switched to a different color. Then I used the paper towel to dab off areas where the water started to pool. I also sprayed the panel with water to get the colors moving. I used my brush to spread the pigment into some areas. Then I used the heat tool to speed up the drying process. Once dry, I took some black pigment. Here I'm using black acrylic paint. You can also use black watercolor or gouache from pans or tubes. I diluted it with lots of water, then started painting it onto the colorful watercolor panel. This creates a wash and reduces the intensity of the color. It looks like a hot mess now, but trust in the process, and when I add the splatters later on, it will look beautiful. In the meantime, I continue to build on the layers by adding more and more concentrated black pigment. This is what it looks like when it's dried. Doesn't look very pretty, but I promise you it will look wonderful in the end. Like I said, trust in the process. I took some iridescent ink and white acrylic paint and diluted both in some water. I splattered the iridescent ink first. This will give the galaxy sky some sparkle. Then I took some of the white acrylic paint and splattered on some more. You can be as generous as you want with the splattering. For the second galaxy background, I'll be using Nuvo Shimmer powder. These water-based powders are highly pigmented. I'm using Solar Flare, Cherry Bomb, and Blue Blitz. And the black one is called Storm Cloud. I really enjoy using these powders. I simply tap the bottom of the bottle to release small amounts of pigment. It doesn't look like much, but when it's activated with water, magic happens. I continue tapping on the 3 colors onto the paper. Then I take the spray bottle again and spray the panel generously with water. The pigment then activates and starts blooming on the paper. I felt that it needed more blue and yellow, so I tapped on more of those pigments. Then I used the paintbrush to start spreading it around, filling in the gaps. I continued to add more colors in areas where it was needed. I kept repeating the process until I was happy, then I set it aside to dry. Once the panel was dry, I tapped off some of the Storm Cloud Shimmer powder, added a little water, then painted it onto the colorful panel. This part is very similar to what I did to the first galaxy background. First a light wash, then tapping off pigment direct to paper to darken some areas. Then I splattered iridescent ink and white acrylic paint onto the panel until I was happy with the result. For the third and final background, I'll be using Distress Oxide inks, Salty Ocean, Mustard Seed, and Festive Berries. Oh, and of course, Black Soot. On a panel of heavyweight cardstock, I started blending in the Mustard Seed Oxide ink using a blending brush. I started off blending from the edge in a circular motion while moving towards the middle of the panel. The blending doesn't have to be perfect, just enough that there is good coverage. I continued to do this with the other colors as well. I'll turn up the music a little and I'll come back later for the next step of the process. I moved back and forth between the colors and continued to darken it so that I got good coverage on the paper. For this next step of the process, I took some Black Soot Oxide ink and started to blend it on top of the ink blended panel. I started out light, and just like the other two background panels I made, I continued to blend in until it got darker and darker. This time, unlike the first two galaxy backgrounds I made, I will splatter clean, clear water over the panel. Oxide inks react with water, so when I lift the paper towel, the splatters show up on the panel. Off camera, I splattered it with iridescent ink and white acrylic paint. Here's another look at the three galaxy backgrounds I created. This one using liquid watercolors, this using shimmer powders, and the final one using Distress Oxide inks. These are the cards I made with them. This one is a fairy tale night scene using the one done in liquid watercolors. The one done with shimmer powders, I made a New Year's themed card stenciled using glitter glaze and an added die-cut holographic sentiment. The final one done in Oxide inks, I created a clean and simple card using a selective die-cutting technique. If you would like to know in more detail on how I created these cards, it is all in my blog linked in the description box below. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed my video. If you did, please like and subscribe. I truly appreciate it. Till next time, bye!